Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. And what a performance that was from Arsenal. They were fantastic. Odegaard is back. Arsenal's title race is back on. It's not too early for them to be out of it. Nwaneri, if I'm even pronouncing his name right, because apparently I always pronounce it wrong. Wow. That kid, 17 years of age, 4 goals this season for Arsenal. I'm stunned by how good he is. Like, I've heard a lot of talk from Arsenal fans about him. And I was like, okay, this is a good talent. You know, Mikey Moore and Yeri, there's some good talents. No, that kid is amazing. Like, as a Manchester United fan, his ball strike and his confidence is everything. Sometimes you just see a kid and you're like, this one's going to make it. Sometimes you see kids, they get hyped up and you're not sure, but you're like, they're good. But every now and then you see a kid, and I had it with Mikel Merino at Man United. I said, this one's going to do it. And again, you know, Nwaneri of Arsenal was giving me that vibe. Fantastic. But for Saka, best player on the pitch, he was fantastic. I thought Thomas Partey had a good game. And obviously Nwaneri. I thought Mikel Merino was fantastic. I think the small things he does. I thought Odegaard was fantastic. I think all in all, Arsenal were fantastic. Defence was solid. Timber had a good game. Saliba was good in build-up. But we have to talk about Ethan. 17 years of age. 4 goals for Arsenal this season. He's only getting these little cameos here and there. And in those little 10-minute cameos that he's getting, he's making such an influence. I think he did more than, you know, Gabriel Jesus, who probably didn't have the best game today out of all of the Arsenal players. I thought Arsenal were good. But there's probably an argument coming in that Ethan could start games and get more minutes. And I think Odegaard is back now. But with Odegaard's injury, was it because Arteta just wanted to be careful, mould him in? 17 is so young. I can absolutely get that. But 11 out of 11 passes, 2 touches in opposition box, 2 shots, 1 chance created, 1 shot on target, 1 goal. 13 minutes played against Forest. And I'm going to tell you something now. Forest have the 3rd best defensive record in the Premier League and the 2nd best when it comes to XG conceded this season. They've got better defensive numbers than Arsenal this season. And we always praised Arsenal's defence last season. They've been unbelievable defensively. Murillo is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League at Nottingham Forest. Left centre-back, I think a few big teams will be in from in the summer. I actually did a tweet last week and I spoke about players I think big 6 clubs will be in for. And I said Cunha of Wolves, who's just had a fantastic game. I said Murillo. I think I said João Pedro. And then I can't remember who the 4th one was. It might have been Mbeumo. I said, I can see big 6 teams coming in for them. Like, Forest have got good players at the back. And Nwaneri did so well. You know, the way he commands the ball, the shot, the finish. I think his finishing was excellent. He's now the 2nd youngest goal scorer for Arsenal. Here were my notes on him. And some of these are older notes, some of these are newer notes. But I just thought the goal was fantastic. He was calling for the ball. I think the confidence he has to always be calling for the ball. Whenever he's on the pitch, he's demanding the ball, and the Arsenal players are playing him the ball because they watch him in training and they know how good he is, and they're willing to pass him the ball. And he gets the ball, he carries the ball, he plays it out to Sterling, makes that run. And I've noticed a couple of times in these games for Arsenal in the first team, he makes those runs to receive the cross, and then the first time finish was fantastic. And I watched some of his academy highlights. I spoke to Arsenal fans about him because I wanted to learn a bit more about him, because I was like, this guy's obviously a talent. Him, Mikey Moore, I want to learn a bit more about them. And they're like, finishing, this guy can strike the ball well, because I think Trossard's probably Arsenal's best finisher in terms of he can finish it. I think Saka's got a good finish on him. I think Havertz's got a good finish on him. But Nwaneri is someone that just seems to have the finishing naturally to him. And he's got 4 goals this season, which is 2nd. We put him 2nd or 3rd for Arsenal's highest scorer, which is insane. And I think every time he comes on, he looks a threat. He looks one of the best players on the pitch. I think he needs more game time. I think that is going to be a question mark for Arteta, because I think Merino and Odegaard were fantastic today. It's where does Nwaneri come in and how he molds him in, how he deals with it. But the way he can get in pockets on the right side, position himself, ask to get the ball, receive the ball, the bravery he has, first time finish, confidence, taking risks. He's got that mentality, you know. Jude Bellingham scoring a bicycle kick in the Euros, going to Real Madrid, that little bit of mentality. And I'm not comparing him to Jude Bellingham, but for a young player, the confidence and the mentality he has. And you look at Cole Palmer, you look at Jude Bellingham, it seems like haters don't fuss them. They play, they do their thing, they believe in themselves. Nwaneri's got that. He comes on the pitch, he takes risks, he demands the ball, he takes the first time shot, he scores an absolute banger in the Carabao Cup, scores a goal like that. He's got that bit about him mentally, which you see, and I think fantastic player. But let's talk about Arsenal in general. I don't just want to talk about Nwaneri. I want to talk about Saka, Merino, Odegaard, the game in general. They beat a strong Forest side 3-0. Massive boost for Arsenal. Keeps them in the title race. Huge. The performance from Arsenal was dominant. The result was well deserved. And I think it shows the Arsenal players what they can do. I think Arsenal had a little bit of a bounce in the road. And I think them getting that 3-0 win over Forest, who were 5th going into that game, who had beaten Liverpool, drew to Brighton, drew to a lot of the big sides, taken points off them. I think they drew to Chelsea as well. I think that Arsenal, the fact they destroyed Forest, who've been fantastic this season, it will like give Arsenal that boost. And I think when you look at the performance, it was a fantastic performance. Absolutely was. I think the result was really well deserved. I think Arsenal will take up a bit of confidence. And I said this, Arsenal back in January, December last year, they had a bit of a blip, and then everyone was like, Arsenal out the title race, Arsenal out the title race, they've bottled it, blah, blah, blah. And then they came back from, was it Dubai trip last season? Then they just sort of won nearly every single game, and they took the title race to the final day. Arsenal aren't out of that title race. They look better when Odegaard's in it. 100%. I've seen people with Odegaard agendas. I've seen big Twitter accounts trying to say for ages that Odegaard's holding Arsenal back. He's not. Some Man United fans try and make out that Bruno Fernandes is holding Man United back. He's not. Some Arsenal fans try and make out that Odegaard is holding Arsenal back. He's not. And I think any Arsenal fan that thought Odegaard was holding Arsenal back will see he's absolutely not. And we will talk about Odegaard. But Merino, Saka, Nwaneri, Odegaard, and Partey were key players to me. I thought Timber did well. I think Jesus could have contributed more. I think Trossard did a job in terms of keeping the ball, in terms of technicality. I think he did all right. I think actually the technicality was very good from Arsenal. I thought the physical and technical levels that Arsenal showed against Forest is what made them win the game. It was the technical levels that Forest could not compete with, the breaking them down. And I felt that also having Calafiori and Merino, who the two new signings Arsenal brought in, you could see the left-hand side and you could see the dynamics and you could see the balance that it brought, which is obviously what they were brought in to do. And you can see that it was working. And Arteta had a plan and it's working. And I think that Odegaard was fantastic. I thought the build-up was fantastic. I thought the left-hand side, you can see the dynamics there. I thought, in general, Arsenal fantastic. But the best player on the pitch, who's taken me nearly 6.5 minutes to talk about, because I feel like we had to talk about Ethan, is Bukayo Saka. Now, if you know me, you know, even though I'm a Man United fan, I rate Bukayo Saka. I was at a soft spot for him because, if I'm going to be honest, I think he gets over-criticised. And I think he's one of those, if he has a bad game, Saka stinker. It absolutely trends. And I just think what Saka's done for Arsenal over the last few seasons in England, whether he's had to be a touchline winger, whether he's had to go more centrally, he delivers. Foden doesn't do it in English yet, Saka does. He's that guy, whether Arsenal are good, whether Arsenal are bad, he shows up. Left back, left wing, central role, wide role, different formations, different styles, he shows up. He's a fantastic player. He was more central today. And I tell you this now, if Saka played a bit more centrally, not as a centre forward or anything, but a winger with more central license, a little bit like Cole Palmer was at Chelsea, his goal numbers would be even higher. I tell you that for a fact, because if I'm Arteta, I'd build around Bukayo Saka. He was fantastic. 1 possession 5 times, 4 chances created, 4 duels won, 1 goal, 1 assist. But the 4 chances created is absolutely ridiculous in itself. Absolutely incredible. You know, his work rate, his desire, he gets stuck in, his movement, his dribbling, his ball carrying, he's got it all. 6 games, 4 goals, 5 assists so far at the Emirates this season. If you look at his general stats this season, 8 assists, which is the most expected assists accumulated, so he deserves to have the most assists. Most big chances, 14. Second most key passes, 32. Second most goal involvements, 12. He's been a creative monster, and he's got the highest average SOFA score rating. He's been absolutely fantastic. So, let me share my thoughts on Saka, because this video is going to be very long if I don't. Saka was outstanding today and could have scored a hat-trick with his performance. He consistently providing assists with 8 already this season compared to 9 in all of last season. So he's going to be his assist record he could break the record for assists this season, Saka. He could. His 1v1 skills, ball carrying and movement were exceptional, showcasing his technical ability. Technically good, fantastic, but he's more central today. Had a real influence over the game. Murillo's there, unlocking the defence. Forest have some good defenders, and he caused them issues. I thought, you know, the technical levels from Arsenal as a whole were impressive, but Saka was, again, showing it well. And as I said, Forest are one of the best teams, and they couldn't deal with Saka breaking them down. Liverpool could not break Forest down like Arsenal did today. Nobody's been able to break Forest down. They've been so defensively compact, which I think is why Arteta went with such a technical lineup. And you see that today. And I think Saka, well-rounded player, versatile. And I think if he had the freedom to be more central, I think his influence on the game would be unmatched. And I think if I'm Arteta and I think Saka's your one attacker that consistently does it. Martinelli hit and miss, but I don't think the left-hand side dynamics were there for him. They are now with Merino and Calafiori back. Trossard is clinical, but seems to be better coming off the bench. Havertz, obviously a good player. But if I'm Arteta, I think Saka, Odegaard, that's what I'd want to build around. Really would. Going into Merino, I thought he was fantastic today. I was really impressed with Merino in the Chelsea game where he came off the bench for a little bit. I thought he had a big influence on the game. And I think Merino, he came to Arsenal, he got injured, then he got thrown into a few games where Arsenal were a bit off it themselves. And maybe people blamed Merino, but it was actually just the environment he was thrown into, and he'd come back from an injury. It's a new league and he needed to adjust. And I think people were a little bit quick to write off Merino. Not everybody, it was a small percentage of people. You know, some people were quite reactionary. But I thought the influence he had off the bench versus Chelsea, I thought today's influence was fantastic. And with Merino, it's small things that a lot of people maybe don't notice, but he makes Arsenal better. The left-hand side is better. And I think the two left footers on Arsenal's left-hand side was helping them be less predictable, helping them build up, helping them be more fluid. And with Merino, it is the winning the second balls, it is making the tackles, the blocks, the interceptions he makes. And he just does his job, block, tackle, interception, gets the ball, passes it forward, progressive pass forward, making all these little actions. And he contributes to every stage. He can help in the build-up, he can drop deep. He's a midfielder, a little bit like Saka, that's comfortable getting the ball deeper on the left-hand side, contributing it. But then in the final third can have an influence with his passing, with his pressing, with his movement, and I think he contributes to every phase. And I think him and Odegaard together shows promise. Him operating on the left, Odegaard on the right, but they can interchange centrally. They can get more dominance of those central areas and help unlock the opposition's defence more. And I think technically Merino very good. I thought his ability in tight spaces, you know, was fantastic. It's not about flashy skills or anything. It's just get the ball in a tight space, move it quickly. I think what he does isn't flashy. It maybe doesn't stand out, but it's just get the ball, retain the ball, win it back. It's the small things he does. And I think he was calm. I think he was good on the ball. He was obviously winning his duels. We spoke about when Arsenal signed him, how he's such an elite duel winner. And I think just him being comfortable, being a left footer, being good in the build-up, being good in the tight spaces, calm on the ball. I think that's what Arsenal needed. And I think the game and the environment suited him today. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about Martin Odegaard. People were giving Martin Odegaard stick before he got injured. Oh, he's holding Arsenal back, this and that. I mean, I couldn't believe I was hearing that Martin Odegaard was holding Arsenal back, this and that. I really couldn't. But, you know, it happens like with every fan base that maybe there'll be a few Chelsea fans one day that think Cole Palmer's holding Chelsea back, which I think would be ridiculous. But people do sometimes think there's a big player's holding a team back, which I always think is crazy. You know, Haaland holding City back was once a thing. Bruno holds United back. Odegaard holding Arsenal back. It's ridiculous. Odegaard is Arsenal's most important player. Now, I think Saka is Arsenal's best player, but I think Odegaard is the most important player because I think Odegaard is the leader on the pitch, which I think he influences other players because he's telling them and pointing them where to go, and he's dictating the play and he's instructing the team. Odegaard isn't goals and assists. Odegaard is control. Odegaard is the function of the team at Arsenal, in my opinion. I think Odegaard is crucial to Arsenal, you know, in terms of transitions, in terms of attacking. I think he's there. He's important to it. He picks the right pass, his movement. I think his ability to time pass, the movement, get Saka, absolutely fantastic. Saw a few people say that. But what I want to talk about more with Odegaard is, I think it's his leadership, it's instructions. On the pitch, he's pointing at players where to go, where to run, where to move. That's what he does. Leadership, instructions. He is a leader. And I feel like the team at Arsenal looks just more cohesive when Odegaard's on the pitch, because I think people don't realise that Odegaard plays a big part in the tempo, the movement, playing the ball, instructing the attacks, instructing the runs, keeping Arsenal following Arteta's instructions. Arteta had a game plan today, and you could see that, and it was executed perfectly. I feel like Odegaard can be the mini Arteta on the pitch to make sure the players are doing what the game plan is. That's how I feel when I see Odegaard. But also it's just his ability, his touches. I think the short passes he makes, his movement. He makes the right pass. He makes a forward pass. He's a progressive player, and he can get the game kicking, and he can be direct. And I think he's fantastic. He has good goals and assist numbers, but it's not all about that. It's the way he improves the team, the dynamics, the right half space, plays in Saka, improves Saka. And I think if he stays fit, I think Arsenal's chances of winning a title are there. I think if he and key players stay fit for Arsenal, they will win a load of games and they will be back in the title race. I think, it's not over yet. I think Liverpool have looked phenomenal, but cracks can show with Liverpool. We saw that last season, the back end of last season, when they just started losing a few games. City are nowhere near as good as they've been. They've been lucky to get a few results. I think Arsenal will bounce back. Anyway, guys, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.